This is my review of the video game Kingdoms and Castles. Kingdoms and Castles is a game like Stronghold, Crusader, Age of Empires, etc. It's a medieval city building game, and you do have an army, and there is some military combat. Most of the game is focused on city building, and the combat element is not a large portion of the game. You're only going to engage in combat perhaps every 10 minutes, and only when the enemy comes to your territory, although there are new versions of the game that are more combat oriented. So this is actually a very fun game. Don't let the graphics surprise you. It's a cute game. It's definitely intermediate level game. There's no complex supply chain. For example, if you produce uh, if you have a tree and you cut the tree down and you produce lumber, you have farms that produce food. There's no complex manufacturing chain or supply chain. In general, all of your supplies like stone and iron are just used as they are. There are some exceptions. It does have the normal aspects of a city builder game. There is gold, there are building materials, there are people. The people live in houses. They're usually walking around working. It is similar to Banished. I think that Banished is a more advanced game. This is more of an intermediate game. But the good thing about it is it's a little bit fun to play. The maps are small, and the way the combat works, that means that the harvest just happened. Um, they have to bring all the food items and put them into the warehouse, and if they don't complete it in time, then it gets spoiled. Uh, you cannot build wherever you want. You have to build within distance of the road, and there are obviously seasons. There, you do have trading on the shore. I believe, you can build boats and you can transport supplies to the other side of your map using boats. There are dragons, and what the dragon's going to do is the dragon's going to fly over and he's going to attack your town, which is mostly setting it on fire, burning buildings. So you do need to have defenses. For example, there's a ballista tower. And then there are Vikings, and the Vikings will invade. Usually the invasion is quite small. The army might only have 5 or 10 soldiers, and they won't burn your city down. They can. They can definitely do it, but often they'll just come attack and then they'll leave. So you do get a chance. Maybe in the higher levels they'll do more damage, but definitely in the lower levels it's a lot more easier. And the same with the dragon. The dragon will come and attack, and then eventually it will leave. You do have different military units. There's only one type of house. I believe it's 2 different types of food, which is grain and fruit, and a couple different building materials. You do have different types of terrain. For example, some of the terrain is appropriate for farming, and the other terrain you are going to use for planting trees. There are castle walls. You can build the castle walls quite tall. This is not the tallest you can build. You can build them a lot taller, and you can see they're built in small segments. Excuse me. It is a fun game. I really like it. Besides having cute little graphics, and it's fun to watch them walking around. In terms of the price, I don't know if it's a $50 game. Like Civilization 6 is a $50 game. This is more like a $20 game. If you pick it up for less than $20, I say it's definitely worth it. I'm just going to check real quick to see how many hours I've played. 50 hours of total game time. So I played 50 hours. I would say this is a game you're going to play for a couple of weeks, and then eventually you're going to get bored with it, because then at some point you start thinking, what am I? It's not challenging. You're going to build a large town that encompasses most of the property. You're going to easily defeat the Vikings and the dragon. You just put up the ballista towers everywhere, and then you're going to start getting bored with the game. But the thing that I like about this is a game where you can keep it and then a year later say, oh, I'm going to play some Kingdoms and Castles, and then you play for a couple hours. It's one of those games. It's definitely a keeper. And is it appropriate for new gamers if you're really young? I'd say if your kids are smart, yeah, definitely go for it. But it's going to be a little bit of a challenging game for someone who's a new gamer. If you're an expert, I've been playing since the 1970s. This is a definitely intermediate game, and I would put a lot more attention to something like Banished or Stronghold is more combat oriented. And SimCity, it comes and goes. Sometimes they have good years, sometimes they have bad releases. So I'd say it's worth getting. You're probably going to enjoy playing it. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.